Hi everyone, Professor Bowen-Moore here. With this video, I'm going to show you the shape tool, the frame tool, and the line tool. And that's going to involve the fill and stroke and filling shapes with color and things as well. So your shape tool on your toolbox is going to be the shape that has without the X going through it. And if you see an arrow in the bottom right corner of some of these tools, that if you click and hold your mouse, you're going to see that you have more options with that particular tool. So here I have a rectangle tool, ellipse, and polygonal tool. So with the rectangle tool, I'll just go with that one first. And I can drag this shape out from the top left to any dimension I want. And as once you've settled on, a shape dimension, then you can release and it will have it there. And as you do that, you will see wherever your cursor is, you will see where it is in your ruler, in the top and on the sides, your vertical and horizontal axis. But if you don't see your ruler, you can just click Command or Control R and it will be visible. You will also see the width and the height of the shape that you've created. Now, I've set up this document for print, so it's in picas as units here. So if I click V, it will go back to my selection tool, and then I can select this object and move it around or what have you, or do whatever I want with it. Right now it has a 0 fill and an outline or a stroke around the box, the bounding box. So if you look in my control panel here, the fill has a slash going through it. That means there's no fill. And then the stroke, you can see the little black line. So that means I've got a black outline around this. It's at 1 point in thickness. So I can make that thicker or thinner. You can even go fractions of a point. With this, you can get pretty minute with this in detail. I can take this down to 0 points and it'll have no stroke or no outline. I can also go up here and click none when I click the arrow. So if I click the arrow on either one of these, it's going to bring up just some default swatch colors. Same with the fill. But if I want my own customized color, I can double click on the box itself and it'll bring up my color picker. I can move, right now I'm in a cooler color palette. I can slide this bar and get more warm colors if I want that. And so you can slide your little icon there around to pick a color. And you can add this color to your swatch list and fill it at the same time. So now if I click this arrow, you can see I've added that swatch color and its CMYK codes to the swatch list there. And again, CMYK color because I've set up this document for print. So that's how you kind of work the color and stroke, the fill and the stroke for any shapes you're creating. That works for any shapes that you have. Now, if I want a perfect square, there's a couple of shortcuts that I want to show you. So let's say I want a perfect square, equilateral, the same on all sides. I would hold down the Option Shift keys when I drag this shape out. The Option key by itself is going to drag from the middle. But as you can see, just the Option key allows me to drag from the middle, but it's still free form. I can create any dimension I want with that. However, if I hold the Option Shift keys down, it's going to give me a perfect square or equilateral square. Same with the circle. So if I hold down and get the ellipse tool and I want a perfect circle, Option Shift, and then click and drag it out. Now, when I let go, I'm going to let go of my mouse or my trackpad first. If you let go of your shortcut keys, a lot of times it'll jerk and get disproportionate. But as you can see, the width and the height here is 16 picas for my circle. If I go back to my selection tool and click on the square, you can see it's equilateral as well. So those are the shortcuts if you want to create a equilateral shape. or if you want to drag from the middle, just the Option key will drag from the middle instead of dragging it from the top left. Now your Frame tool is going to be next to the Shape tool. It has the X going through it. So a Frame tool is what we will use when we would want to place an image into our layout. So when you drag out a shape, and if you hold down the cursor, you can always also see that you have rectangular, ellipse, and polygonal frames as well. And when you see the X there and you have it selected and you've created your frame, that's when you can go up to File, Place, or Command D, which is your shortcut to place an image into that frame. But notice my image is a lot bigger than the dimension. Sometimes when you create a frame, it's not the same dimensions as the image that you're placing inside of the frame. So what it gives you is you have a lot of options here because sometimes I may not want the whole image. Forgive me, my dog is barking. But if I go back to my selection tool and I double click on this image, if I zoom out, you can see the image is pretty big here. So I can use my fingers or I can use my Command Shift keys to scale this down proportionally to fit inside my frame. Now this is kind of a vertical image and I created more of a horizontal frame for it. So and if you use your 2 fingers on your trackpad, it will scale proportionally as well. But what I'll do here is I'll just kind of hug the frame around the image, and this gives me more leeway now. But let's say I wanted this image to zoom in and I just wanted to show just the face of this little rooster here. So that's why you can access the frame and the image inside the frame separately. It allows you to move the image around to show only what you want visible in that frame. But I'm going to go ahead and put the whole thing back in here. And so let me do this proportionally. And so what I may want to do now is I may want to scale this whole thing bigger. So you can do that without accessing them separately. So if I just click on the frame now and I do my Command Shift keys, it's going to scale the whole image as whatever size that I want proportionally. You also have the option of going up to Object, Fitting, and you can fit content proportionally. Just always make sure you do it with the proportionally, or your image could skew, and you definitely don't want that. And I'll show you what that means. If I just move this without scaling it proportionally, you can see it skews or distorts that image. You do not want that, and that would be a deduction also in your grade. So always scale your objects proportionally if it matters. And with imagery, it usually does. You can also do this, these shortcuts apply with text boxes. So let's say I have a headline. And let's say I wanted this headline really big. You know, I can select this type and go really big with the point size and just keep clicking the up button, you know, and keep going. But another way to scale, oops, too far back. Another way to scale this is using your shortcut keys. Same thing as you would with an image. So in this case, I would put the bounding box kind of hugging the word and then Command Shift and scaling it bigger. So you can use those shortcut keys with text boxes as well, if need be. And it'll show you the size is now 63 points for this type. All right, so that is the shape tool and the frame tool. And your line tool is very simple. I'm going to delete some of these so I have some room. But your line tool, you can just freehand click and drag, and that's a line, and that's counted as a stroke. So the color of that line is going to be under the stroke fill box here. So if I want a particular color or thickness to this line, I can do that. If I want a straight line, I can hold the shift key. So that makes it perfectly horizontal or perfectly vertical. And if I'm going at an angle, it's going to work in increments of 90 degrees. So it would automatically make that 45 degrees if at an angle. So you have options there. You also have the type of line that you would want as well. So that is the line tool and the shape and frame tool.